Hello, listeners, and welcome to Spooky Time with Mike and Mindy.
Hi, spookers.
Hi. So this is part 3
Yes.
of the scary stories.
To tell in the dark.
Yeah. Sorry.
So part 3 of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, where in this one we are going to discuss Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones.
Ooh.
Yeah. These are stories collected by Alvin Schwartz. It was released in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
So we were live for this one.
For this one, and that would make sense because I remember this one the most.
I mean, we were like 4, so just assume, though, that this was the most recent, so that's probably why we're more familiar with some of these.
For sure.
3 of the stories from this one, out of the 4 or 5 in full, are confirmed from this book to be in the movie coming out in August. So we have The Red Spot, The Dream, and Harold, which Mike is not excited about. What did you think about the way this book was compared to the first or the second one, and the stories in general?
I feel like the stories were longer. I feel like they kind of were meandering, ambling a bit.
Yeah.
Some of them, or maybe just a bit longer than they needed to be.
Yeah.
There also weren't as many directions given like the prior two. So the prior two was stand up, stamp your feet.
Well, definitely the first one was like that, and the second one we kind of saw that dwindling away, and then this one literally only had it at the very end of one or two of the stories.
Right. So it seemed to be less of a guide for having fun with your friends than the first 2 were.
Yeah. More just extra bonus stories rather than hanging out, spooking your friends, which I don't know, kind of disappointed me just because I liked the way that the first one was set up. I thought it was a fun idea and very unique, whereas this just seems to be a collection of stories. So yeah. And there was one called The Trouble that literally took forever. Went through a month and a half of this poltergeist activity, but it was really related to teenage energy
Spoiler
and angst or
alert.
Something. Oh, whatever. I'm just trying to warn people that it's not really I don't know, not great. That one was not great. I do want
more of a mixed bag.
Yeah. I do want to mention that Jamie asked us what age we think that these stories would be appropriate for, my friend Jamie. Do you have any advice on that?
Oh boy, I hate to give the non-answer, but it depends on the child, does it not? I mean,
I agree.
My personal experience was, as we discussed in another podcast that'll be coming out after this one, I believe, is, when I started seeing some of these scary movies, and I was 4. So, I mean, I've always just been around it,
right.
So
I think it depends on your kids, and you know your kids best. Some of the stories are totally fine. Some of the stories are also just not worth your time. And then, I don't know, some are pretty scary. But if you're reading them during the day on a Sunday afternoon or something, I don't really think it's that scary. I don't think you're going to read your kids these books as they go to bed.
Yeah, not bedtime stories at all.
Yeah.
And definitely don't read the stories and then, mock what happened in them.
Right, yeah.
Don't tease your kids, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean,
unless your kids are okay with that. Because it depends on your kids.
Well, and that's the other thing, too, is really the point of the books is to impress that scary is fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not something to be terrified of. It's something to laugh about and enjoy.
Especially since all 3 of the books do end with funny, scary stories.
Yeah.
And if anything, I think that's the place to start if you're very unsure about how your kids are going to take things. I think that starting at the back of the book might be the best option.
Yeah. Another thing, too, I'll say is if you're really worried, read the stories to them rather than letting them look at all the pictures in the books. Because I will say that
the pictures are the scariest part.
Yeah, the drawings, right, are far scarier than any of the stories.
I agree. And as a child, I always looked at the pictures a lot more than I took the time to imagine things in my head, just because that's the way I would read. So the pictures always stuck with me more than the actual stories themselves.
Yeah, agree.
And these books are short. Just if you're concerned, take the time, read it before you introduce it to your kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, and also, too, final thing about it, just context.
Yeah.
This is a fun book. This is the fun experience we'll have.
Yeah.
It's okay to be scared. Just, have fun with it. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's jump into our favorite stories. My favorite stories, 2 of them again are from the end, the funny ones, and then the non-funny one is called Like Cat's Eyes, and this one is like a page long, and it's essentially this woman finds out that her husband is going to pass away, and the doctor's over. And she takes a minute to step outside of the room, and she looks out the window and sees this hearse pull up, and these shadows with cat-like eyes come in and, like, essentially take her husband's, like, spirit out of the house and put him into the hearse because he passed away.
While she was out.
Yeah. So, and, like, it's just very short, and I don't know, I liked it a lot. Do you have any thoughts about that one?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it just because it's like that transition, and she saw it happening, but she didn't know it until she went in and found out that he had passed. And so
and it's literally like a paragraph.
Yeah, she just thought like, oh, this is this weird thing happening, and then to find out that that was it. She saw it.
And also,
and didn't know.
In a way, it's kind of comforting the way the story is, because it's like he didn't go alone. Like he's being guided by somebody. He didn't just go away.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that about the story as well. I also really liked is Something Wrong, which is another one, oddly enough, with someone breaking into a house and sleeping there, which I liked the cat one, where when Martin comes where someone else breaks into a house. If you were interested in hearing about that and you didn't listen to part 1, that's where I talked about that. But this is one where this guy builds a fire and then something falls out of the chimney, and it's like apparently horrifying, and he just like picks up his stuff and runs, and he turns, this guy like taps him on the shoulder, and he turns around, it's this big skull with huge bloody eyes, and the skull's just like, pardon me, is something wrong? like why are you running? Is everything okay? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, the way that you look, your appearance is frightening.
Yeah. But I also really love the picture. Can you try to describe the picture to people?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so pretty much it's this guy running so fast that like his hat's fallen off, so he's just speeding along.
And he's very tiny.
And then above him and reaching down to him is this floating, multiple-armed, long, claw-like fingered body attached to a gigantic floating skull with eyes that are like oozing, dripping, melting out of the sockets.
Yeah.
And it's just, wondering, is something wrong?
I know, and it's kind of cute.
Oh, well, I wasn't going to describe it that way.
In a weird, like, disturbing way. I don't know, the skull kind of reminds me of, like, a baby doll head, the way it's shaped.
A bit.
Yeah. So I liked that one. I thought it was funny. And then my last one I wanted to mention was called Strangers. And this one, it's also very short. And I just think it's really fun because it's about these 2 people sitting on a train, and this man's like, oh, what are you reading, to this woman? And she's like, oh, ghost stories, like, they're super scary. And he's like, oh, do you believe in ghosts? And she was like, don't you? And then he's like, oh, no, of course not. Like, it's just superstition or whatever. And he's like, and I've never seen a ghost. And she's like, haven't you? And then she disappears. I love it. And I also like the picture in this one too, where it's just like this guy with like super spiky hair hanging out on this train and like his flannel, and this book is just like floating up in the air. I like it. It's cute. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, so the spiky hair would be like out of fright.
Yeah.
Not because he's
not just because he's got spiky hair, but like because he's like scared. Yeah.
Because he has now seen a ghost.
Exactly. I think it's really fun. And then there is a story that both of us liked, it kind of ended a little weird, but it was one of the longer ones called Maybe You Will Remember. And so this one is about this mother and daughter who are traveling together, and the mother gets sick, so they stay a few extra nights in a hotel. And a doctor comes to visit, and the doctor tells the daughter, like, oh, you need to go get this medicine. And so she leaves to go get the medicine, and it's hard to kind of explain without reading it.
So, why I like it, why it's an honorable mention for me, is it read like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where she understands her reality, and she needs to go on a mission, and then while she's gone, things go awry.
Yeah.
And then she tries to go back,
but
she goes back, but no one knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Nothing looks the same, and it's all different.
Yeah, nobody remembers her. Her mom's gone. I just, it's one that, like, I think you should read this one because it's really, I don't know, it's interesting. I like it. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, it's definitely got the spooky vibes.
Yeah. All right, Mike, what are your 3 favorites?
So my 3 favorites, I liked The Black Dog, and I will just state right away.
This is different than the other dog story that we talked about, too, in the other book.
Yes, it is different. I thought it was the same. I'm like, oh boy, here we go, repeat.
Yeah.
It is different, but I will say I liked this one, but what I did not like is the harm to animals. So I'm just going to put that out there. So, if you're worried about...
Which is why I didn't like it.
Kids or what have you. I mean, some animals are put in distress. So, FYI. But what I did like about it is how creepy it was. Just about this black dog that walks down the stairs and then it disappears and it's not there anymore.
Yeah, like in the middle of the night,
In the middle of the night, it keeps coming back. It goes a little bit further each time, or they see a bit more of it. And it does attack another dog, which...
Yeah.
As much as I didn't like that, I liked the way that it was described. I like
the story of
the image that it gave me. Like, it definitely made me feel afraid.
Yeah.
Like, I would have left the house, honestly. It's fine. But yeah, I just, it was just creepy. So, like, every night around the same time, it just comes by and it gets a little further each and every single time, and it snarls and it just walks around and
Yeah, and I mean, there's no proper end to it either.
No,
it's just like this is just the way every night's gonna be, I guess.
Just kind of sits like that.
Yeah, so it's
I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't because of the death of a dog, obviously. But I can see why you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one?
The Dead Hand.
This one is also good, but a bit longer.
This one is a bit longer. I really liked it. And I liked it for the mental visuals. So I guess that's why I also liked The Black Dog, because I could envision it happening.
Yeah.
And it was really creepy. So I put myself, again, in this story, like seeing it for myself, from my perspective, The Dead Hand. And it wasn't so much the end. I won't ruin... what was attacking or whatever, what have you. But what I really liked was this guy, I think he gets dared.
Yeah, he gets dared to go into the swamp.
He's not afraid of anything, and he's going to go to the swamp, and so he goes out there by himself, and he has a light.
And people can watch him like walking off into the swamp and watch it like bouncing up and down.
Yeah, so like they don't
kind of like Game of Thrones when the Dothraki are riding off into their deaths, pretty much.
Yeah.
But not really their deaths, because then for some reason there's still some left and whatever.
Or they're undeath.
Ugh, whatever.
Anyway, so yes, what I liked about it was the way that it described the visuals of you having their perspective of watching this person, proving how brave he is.
Right.
Walk out into the swamp, so you see the light floating around, you see the light dim down.
Yeah.
It comes back up, and you see him struggling, and then it goes away.
Yeah.
And then it comes back up again, and you see him losing this struggle.
Yeah.
And it just, I like that idea, that setup of playing with light so that you only see certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, what is really scary is what you don't see.
Yeah.
I think so much that that gets overlooked. It's very underrated, which is that sometimes you don't need to see things. And if the absence of seeing something is more scary than seeing a big horrifying thing, if you hear it and it's lurking.
Well, and I think of, like, signs. For so much of that movie, it's just, like, glimpses here or there, or, like, sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't actually see the creatures until the end.
Right,
and I don't think
very
the creatures aren't as scary, when you get to the end. I mean, they're horrifying, but you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it's not that same, like, oh my god, like, what is happening?
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
You're like, okay, this guy is attacking me, rather than, like, what is going on.
Yeah.
And I totally get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's why I really like this one.
I like it too. It's a good one.
Good.
All right, what's your third favorite one?
Third favorite one is going to be a bit of a transition for us because it's going to be Harold.
Yeah.
And Harold will be featured in the movie.
I'm surprised that you picked this as one of your favorites.
Why are you surprised by that?
Because you are so scared of scarecrows.
I am, which is why I picked it, because they did such a good job.
It is a really good story. And this one is long as well, so it doesn't really lend itself well to be a short story you tell with your friends, like in the other books. But this story is really good.
Well, and by long we say a couple.
Like, it's like 4 or 5 pages.
That's what long is
in a kid's book,
relatively speaking.
Yeah, it's not like long. It doesn't take you a long time to read it, but to tell it out loud to a group of friends compared to the other books, it is. So, but yeah. So, want to talk a bit about? I don't think. Yeah. Okay. Talk a bit about it, and then we can talk about what we think will happen in the movie.
Sure thing.
I just have a lot to say.
I liked the way that they set it up. So again, they built more of a story. It wasn't just the menace of, here's this scarecrow, he is going to get you.
Right.
It was about these two guys that are farmers, and they got bored, so they made a scarecrow and named him after a person that they both disliked.
Yeah, because they actually had to go take their sheep or cattle.
I think sheep.
Up to, like, the top of this hill, which is like a few days journey or something, because that's where they have to go graze. And so they're, like, the two guys are up there alone.
They are cows, sorry.
Okay, I wasn't sure. And so they get bored, and they make the scarecrow.
They make a scarecrow and name him after someone that they don't like, and they pretty much take out all their frustrations on this scarecrow.
Yeah.
So they yell at the scarecrow, they hit the scarecrow, they mock the scarecrow.
Yeah.
So they pretty much just fill it with all this negative energy and this anger and the hate, and they put it into the scarecrow, and the scarecrow starts to make sounds. It grunts.
Yeah.
It moves a bit, and of course they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's horrifying. That's enough to just send me running down the hill. But apparently they're like, well, maybe we'll leave him alone for a little bit.
He's like grunting. That's weird. Like, weird.
Well, they said that they thought that maybe it had mice or rats or something, or some other sort of critters that were, like, in him, because he would go outside during the day and then they'd bring him back in.
That's true.
Their reasoning for not being too concerned was that they thought maybe he just was infested with something, but then, like, get it outside of your house.
No, wrong answer. Absolutely not. They were wrong. Nope, they should have just left immediately. All right, so eventually, he starts to move and make sounds, and they start getting worried about him.
Yeah.
So they left him there, and they were going to leave. They've decided this is enough, we gotta go. So they leave, and one of them realizes that they forgot something back at the house. Mm-hmm. So they drew straws, and one of them went back to go to the house to get the thing that they forgot.
Yeah.
And the other one just watches from afar, and he sees Harold up on the roof, and he's doing something weird.
Well, because he, like, heads back to, like, find his friend, because it was taking too long for him to come back.
Yeah, so he goes back just enough to see the house, and Harold's on the roof, and he's stretching out some skin.
Yeah, and it's
to dry in the sun.
It literally says, as Alfred watched, Harold kneeled and stretched out a bloody skin to dry in the sun, which is horrifying.
Yep.
I don't think that's how this is going to play out in the movie.
No,
at
God,
all.
No, because the movie's about, kids or teenagers, right? And they read the books and then the creatures come to life. So obviously Harold's going to menace them. He's not going to be involved with farmers, but he is going to be, in a farm setting.
Yeah, because when you see the poster and, like, part of the trailer, he's, like, a scarecrow up on, like, the thing, in the middle of the night, and they come across him, and then he, like, comes down and chases them. Mm-hmm. So I really don't think it's going to be nearly as horrifying
as disturbing,
this, as this story ends up being in the book. Or at least I hope not, because I think it's only like PG-13 or something.
Right, but again, this is one of those stories where, sorry, I know we talked about the movie, but this is one of those stories where, again, what they do is they save the most gruesome part for off-screen.
True. Yeah.
So I like that about it. I don't think that part's going to happen, though.
I really don't, yeah.
But I think the movie's going to have him play more of an active role, so more of the menace, more of the chase, more of the...
I agree.
Little less of the creep, like the story in the book was going for, of the slow building and then the reveal at the end. So, yeah, I think it'll be a little bit different, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
How do you transition all this?
Yeah, I mean, although I think it would be really cool if they made this into, like, its own movie or something, because like you could develop this whole story.
Like how the Conjuring movies are creating their own separate movies for each ghost or spirit, so you think that this is the movie, the starter movie, Scary Stories, that will then merit the Harold movie, and
that would be cool. But I mean, since this is clearly made for younger kids,
they're not gonna
it's not
stretch
gonna
that out.
Be like a rated R Harold movie. But if someone took this and made it into a rated R movie and manipulated this story, I think that would be a really, really horrifying and awesome movie.
Honestly, I feel like scarecrows are very underutilized. Thankfully, in my case, because they are very scary to me.
Yeah.
And I think the potential for them is a lot greater than a lot of people understand. Or there hasn't been a big marquee like scarecrow horror movie, but there have been scarecrows in horror movies as elements or aspects to them.
Yeah.
And it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't be the only one, right?
I totally get why they're scary, because you don't think that they're real. Like you think they're just full of hay.
Right.
And like when they do move, it's really unsettling. So I get it. So we're going to read The Red Spot and we're going to read The Dream to you. So let's...
Now, these were two stories from this book that will be featured, confirmed in the movie.
Correct. So let us start with The Dream.
The Dream. Lucy Morgan was an artist. She had spent a week painting in a small country town and decided that the next day she would move on. She would go to a village called Kingston. But that night, Lucy Morgan had a strange dream. She dreamed that she was walking up a dark, carved staircase and entered a bedroom. It was an ordinary room, except for two things. The carpet was made up of large squares that looked like trapdoors, and each of the windows was fastened shut with big nails that stuck up out of the wood. In her dream, Lucy Morgan went to sleep in that bedroom. During the night, a woman with a pale face and black eyes and long black hair came into the room. She leaned over the bed and whispered, "This is an evil place. Flee while you can." When the woman touched her arm to hurry her along, Lucy Morgan awakened from her dream with a shriek. She lay awake the rest of the night, trembling. In the morning, she told her landlady that she had decided not to go to Kingston after all. "I can't tell you why," she said, "but I just can't bring myself to go there." "Then why don't you go to Dorset?" the landlady said. "It's a pretty town, and it isn't too far." So Lucy Morgan went to Dorset. Someone told her she could find a room in a house at the top of the hill. It was a pleasant-looking house. And the landlady there, a plump, motherly woman, was as nice as could be. "Let's look at the room," she said. "I think you will like it." They walked up a dark, carved staircase, like the one in Lucy's dream. In these old houses, the staircases are all the same, Lucy thought. But when the landlady opened the door to the bedroom, it was the room in her dream, with the same carpet that looked like trapdoors, and the same windows fastened with big nails. This is just a coincidence, Lucy told herself. "How do you like it?" the landlady asked. "I'm not sure," she said. "Well, take your time," the landlady said. "I'll bring up some tea while you think about it." Lucy sat on the bed, staring at the trapdoors and the big nails. Soon, there was a knock on the door. "It's the landlady with tea," she thought. But it wasn't the landlady. It was the woman with the pale face and the black eyes and the long black hair. Lucy Morgan grabbed her things and fled.
All right, so how do you think this will play out in the movie?
So this one I think is going to be a bit weird. Again, I think it's going to be more of that active menace and not so much follow the story.
Yeah.
I think the active menace is going to be that she's just going to show up and...
Yeah, because in the trailer...
Maybe entice you to go somewhere.
Yeah, it kind of looked like in the trailer...
Fool him into thinking she's a helpful spirit when she's not.
Well, I was going to say, it kind of looked like he was almost in a hospital or something in the trailer. We're going to rewatch the trailer and give our thoughts on that and stuff in the next episode before we go see it. But I just... It's pretty much like this spirit or creature is tricking you into going into the danger.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how it's really going to play out in the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, maybe someone's going to be asleep and then, like, see her and think that, like, oh, I do need to go, even though they were somewhere safe.
My salvation is over here when it's not.
Yeah, and then maybe he ends up, like, in the hospital or something, and that's where he wasn't supposed to be, and that's why he's in danger now or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're right. I think it definitely would follow that aspect of it, of the leading you to false salvation, and really it's the danger.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So I feel like that's kind of what's going to happen. I don't know. And, like, the trailer does depict that picture, like, perfectly from that one. So the creature looks straight up out of the book.
Yeah, it does. They've done a good job from what I've seen for all the confirmed stories of who's going to be in it and how they look.
Yeah.
It's very much as close as you could possibly make it to the drawings, which is just...
It's super
so
creepy.
the nightmares come off the pages and onto the screen. I'm looking forward to it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm excited to see it, but I'm also really not, but...
Right,
yeah,
same.
Could be scared, but maybe it won't be as scary as I think it is, so it's fine.
Yeah. All right, and now we're going to read you guys The Red Spot. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for several minutes on her left cheek, then went on its way. "What is that red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next morning. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother said. "It will go away. Just don't scratch it." Soon, the small red spot grew into a small red boil. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It's getting bigger. It's sore." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head." In a few days, the boil was even larger. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It hurts, and it's ugly." "We'll have the doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's infected." But the doctor could not see Ruth until the next day. That night, Ruth took a hot bath. As she soaked herself, the boil burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs their mother had laid in her cheek. So, what do you think about this one?
This one, I don't know. Why did they choose to have it
Right?
Why did they pick this one?
Out of all the other
things
stories.
They could have.
Well, and it's weird, too, because
I think
the
it's
other
just
ones...
easy to put in.
Well, but it's like, out of the other ones that they've confirmed so far, those are all creatures that menace you, whereas this one is actively happening to someone.
And honestly, it's just gross. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unsettling, and I certainly wouldn't want it to happen to me.
Right.
But, like, once it hatches and they get out, then they're out of you.
Right.
So
it doesn't...
It's not like the bump moves around your body and
right,
like, it burrows in you. It just kind of... They go out of your face, and you scream and probably have a really messed up moment. And then it's done.
Right.
So it's not going to kill you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, not actively wanting this to happen to me, but it's an interesting choice, but probably because it is so short and like a thing that they can just put in so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about like all the other stories and stuff, and it's like I said, so many of it is like active. Like you need to have protagonists and like other people in the story to make them work, whereas this is just happening to a singular person. So I think it's a lot easier to make that occur.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Are there any other stories you think from this book that might show up in the movie? Or like any nods to it? Like maybe we'll see a pig running by or something?
Yeah, I was going to say I want the hog. I want the talking hog so bad. That would be like awesome.
No thanks could happen pretty simply. Like this guy is like apparently trying to sell this kid a knife, and the kid gets kind of spooked.
This knife.
Yeah, and he's just like, no
sharp,
thanks.
Nice sharp knife.
So that could happen, briefly.
Yeah.
So you could see a girl running through the woods as a wolf with other wolves.
Girl, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll see like the shadow people with cat's eyes or something if someone passes away.
Well, and so that's a thing too, is, or maybe we'll hear the drum off in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it really could, if you're going to do like open up to nods and not like featured elements of it, there could be all kinds of stuff. So we'll have to keep our eyes open, as we go through and see it, and likely look up the guide that will inevitably come up.
Maybe read an article that catches all the other Easter eggs that we definitely missed.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'll try and find them all myself, and then I'll give myself credit.
Yeah.
And then there is, of course, the rare cases where I actually see something that those comprehensive links don't, and then I feel really proud of myself.
Like in whatever Star Wars movie or something that you were freaking out about. I don't know, something with the flags. I don't know what you were talking about. We'll talk about it later.
We will, because Okay, yep, later.
But yeah, so in the next episode for this series, we're going to discuss the movie. So I'm excited.
It's almost time.
Yeah, I feel fully prepped for this movie. I don't think I've ever been more prepped for like a kid book series movie in my life.
Hey, I mean, we read them, right?
Other than Harry Potter, I guess, but...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, going through this process, I liked that we read it.
Yeah.
I liked that we took the time and, went through it and read it and kind of relived some of those moments and then discovered a whole bunch of new things. And
yeah.
I just think that it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I like that we took the time. I think it'll enhance it.
I agree. So I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about these books, and I hope that it helps enhance your experience of the movie as well if you don't have time to go read them. So, yeah. I think that covers it.
That does.
Get it? Book covers? Covers it?
Oh.
That was bad.
Oh, cover.
All right. Stay spooky, spookers.
Bye.